Every mobile reaction Monday morning, we head down to the A, bring in the good doc to talk about some of the things that are going on. All right. Talking about some of the things going on, some of the injury concerns we got to get involved to get into, of course. Fantasy Football Frenzy right here on FNTSY Radio. Believe we have the All-In Kid with us also. Matt Medica, Dr. A. Dr. A, what's going on, my man?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys this morning?
Doing well, Doc. Trying to figure out another wild week of NFL football, trying to get through some of these injury concerns and situations like that. And the name we've been talking about a lot this morning was a guy who actually left the game early yesterday after more or less stinking it up and leaving me with these terrible fantasy points. It's my guy, Jameis Winston, Doc. What is the deal with Jameis Winston? Was he benched yesterday for poor performance, or was he benched for injury?
So, like I've always said, the throwing shoulder of a quarterback is a kind of a very, very touchy and very sensitive thing. I mean, the mildest of injuries can affect him, and he has a grade 1 shoulder injury. Our algorithm now is suspecting that he has re-injured that shoulder a little bit, and now it's elevated its injury severity to a grade 2. And the problem is that with these mild injuries, the quarterbacks are at lower injury risk. But if you look at our HPF, he's always been below average. And what that means is that it's going to be quite impactful for him to throw the football. He's just not going to be able to perform, especially throwing on the run. With that type of injury, then it affects decision making. It kind of all sort of, flows into one process. And so, but unfortunately, it looks like he may have re-aggravated and worsened his grade 1 injury, and so our algorithm has now escalated it to a grade 2. Now, interesting enough, what it does to the numbers is that he's still at sort of a low to elevated injury risk at 10 to 11%, but his HPF is below average at 59%. And so, it basically what that means is that, okay, he may not be in danger of really tearing his shoulder up, but he's just not going to be able to perform because of where this injury is. It's right in his throwing shoulder, and so that's why his HPF, and that's kind of what you see reflecting in the last couple of games, is that he's just not been able to make throws accurately, and probably because he has a little bit of pain, he's not completely comfortable. This is what happens with the throwing shoulder of a quarterback.
All right, see, it's funny you mention that, Doc, because they got to be careful with it. Let the kid sit, let him get his rest, because you don't want an Andrew Luck situation on your hands, even though it's different injuries.
Yeah, absolutely, right. He's been playing every single week. He's playing through injury, and that is the old way of doing it. Like, all right, fine, just play through injury. But even a week of rest for Winston, or possibly even, God forbid, he has 2 weeks of rest, then could literally make him have 7-8 weeks of like solid play. But when he continues to play through this type of injury, it's going to have a risk of having these types of games, and now his injury severity has gone up to grade 2. And so he's getting x-rays, he's going to get imaging. And if he plays in this next game, I'm telling you, I would be shocked if he played in the next game.
Yeah, I think sometimes you got to protect the player from himself.
Yep.
Doc, I'm really liking the beard. The beard's coming in there nicely. But let's go to Dallas.
Colder.
Yeah, winter time, huh? Let's go to Dallas yesterday. Dez was having a good game, made a very nice catch over the middle. The ankle now is an issue. I heard already on Twitter, but I never believe what I hear, that it's not serious, because I always believe it's not serious until it is serious. But I want to hear it from you, because that's the knowledge I get.
Yeah. So Dez Bryant, I don't know if you guys recall talking about it in the draft and preseason. He was at high injury risk entering the draft and below average. He stayed there through the whole season. He's not top 10 this year. He's right around top 20. But this grade 2 ankle injury, it's not a grade 1 or soft tissue, so it is serious, Matt. Okay? This is not something that it's just a ticky-tack type of injury. We feel that it's a little bit more than that. He was at high injury risk even below this, even before this injury, and he's at 34% right now. a high injury risk. He needs 4 weeks. He needs 4 weeks. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. If he can rest for 4 weeks, then he will go back into elevated and possibly low injury risk. But, I don't think he's going to rest for 4 weeks, unfortunately. So he will remain at high injury risk throughout the season.
Yeah, I don't see that neither. I don't see him getting the rest. And I hate that on Twitter when they're saying on Monday when they really don't know that it's not supposed to be serious.
Yeah, the way the video looked. Yeah, I was going to say the way the video looked and all of his previous injuries and the fact that he's a wide receiver and he has a history of an ankle injury, nothing is not serious when it comes to a wide receiver like Des Bryant getting an ankle injury. That's why we're listing him as grade 2.
There you go. Dr. A, Inside Injuries, InsideInjuries.com, the Inside Injuries app. Make sure you check it out. You can download it wherever you get your apps at, either it's the App Store, whether it's the Google Play, whatever the case may be. Make sure you get Inside Injuries and give support to the Dr. A and the great work they do down there. All right, Doc, Zach Ertz. I think, you know what, yesterday coming into it, we were kind of like, okay, we know he had his little thing, was nicked up, missed a couple practices, whatever, but we figured he would go. We were kind of shocked when we heard that Zach Ertz was inactive. How's he look moving forward?
Oh, Corey, how come you thought he was shocked? I told you guys on Sunday, I said if he starts this game, he's going to significantly risk, injuring that hamstring. And finally, somehow, maybe Philadelphia Eagles were listening to the program because they did not play him. This guy should not have played in any shape or form on Sunday. I'm glad that they actually let him rest. That is going to be huge for him. He's going to come back. I do not know. I don't think they have a bye coming up. So the 1 week off is going to be the 2 weeks off is going to be really, really good because the optimal recovery time for a grade 1 hamstring injury in a tight end is 2 weeks. And so he is elevated, but he was low in peak before the injury. So he is going to get back to low injury risk if he doesn't have any setbacks. So this is a great move for the Eagles.
So, Doc, you think he's on the field next week?
I think he's on the field next week, yes.
All right, there you go, man. Medika, how about that?
I think a lot of people are happy to hear that. Doc, let's stay with the wide receivers. Zay Jones this past Thursday night was put in his proper position, got the touchdown, looked good, but could not finish the game. What's the status on him going forward?
Yeah, so did you guys see the video of this thing? He hyperextended. Yeah. It was pretty bad, right? Yeah, it looked pretty bad. He hyperextended the knee. When he does that, I felt like, wow, that could be an ACL or some sort of MCL injury. But, the good news is that it looks, right now, our algorithm is saying it's a grade 2. So grade 2 is a sprain. It's not a partial tear like a grade 3 or a full thickness tear like a grade 4. It's a grade 2 injury and optimal recovery time. However, because he's went down twice with knee injuries and on the same knee. So our optimal recovery time is 4 weeks. And so, unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to rest 4 weeks, but he should rest 4 weeks because he's at 23% injury risk right now. If he rests, he likely will get back down to 10, 11%. So that's basically the, sort of the latest on Zay Jones.
Interesting. Hey, Don, I think the Eagles are on bye next week, right?
They on a bye?
The Eagles do have a bye coming.
Yeah,
yes.
so you can't.
Well,
play.
That's great. That's 3 weeks now for Zach Ertz, so that's even better. So he'll be perfectly back to health.
He'll be healthy for Dallas.
Oh, I want him to be healthy for that game, Matt Medika. Full disclosure.
Right.
Let me Doc. Let me tell you, the people in YouTube, Doc. I said, can you play him next week? And you said, yeah. And then they started getting on me. They were like, no, he's got to buy. They think I'm perfect, Doc.
Well, Corey, when you're 99% perfect all the time, they want that extra 1% from you. You know what I mean?
There you go, Doc. You're right. C.J. Anderson, Doc, what's up with him? I'm ready to put Devontae Booker in some lineups. So I'm not saying I'm wishing for an injury. I don't want you to think that, Doc. But
yeah.
Oh, Doc, stop it.
So
You got what business are you in now? Let me stop.
So
Doc, tell us about C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, C.J. Anderson here's the deal with C.J. Anderson. The offensive line health of the Broncos is probably more of an issue than C.J. Anderson's injury. It's he's not having a great year. Broncos aren't having a great year. The running game is not that great. Offensive line is really, really banged up. But ankle injury to a running back, even though it's a soft tissue injury, 15 he missed a game with an ankle injury, and then in 16 he had a torn meniscus in 2016. So. Just because he has a soft tissue ankle, it really, he was healthy up till this point, And just because of that little injury, because of all the other stuff, he's elevated to 24%. 1 week recovery time just for this injury, so he should be back in the next game. But unfortunately, what this injury does, even though if we feel like it's a minor injury, because of all the other stuff we put into the algorithm, it has elevated him to 24%. So now he's going to be at elevated injury risk from this point forward, probably through the end of the year. So just that's something to note for everybody, that now he's at elevated injury risk. He got honestly, he was lucky that he didn't really have any injuries up till this point in the midpoint of the season. But now, from now to the end of the year, look out, because this could be the beginning of a few injuries according to our algorithm.
All right, there you go right there, InsideInjuries.com, the Inside Injuries app. The guy is Dr. A. Doc, thanks a lot for rocking with us. You catch him with us each and every Monday morning on Fantasy Football Frenzy. Dr. A is a part of Overreaction Monday. When we come back on the other side, we get the All-In Kid back in here. We take an early look at the waiver wire. It's the Frenzy.